YouTubers. I thought I would do a sort of a catch-up video on the Porsche Boxster. I've had this car now for a little over a year. The last video I believe I did last August, and I thought you guys would like to know how it's been over the last year of ownership of this car. Well, what I can tell you is it's been a hell of a lot of fun. I don't regret purchasing this car at all. It's been great. It's basically been what I had hoped for. So I thought I'd, like I said, just kind of go through the pros and cons of owning a Boxster. There haven't been many cons in terms of serious cons. So I'll start with the pros. First off, I just want to say that I haven't had any service visits since I did the last video. Just been driving the car, and I've mostly been daily driving it until the weather started turning cold here over the last month or so. So, you know, all summer I basically drove it to work and back every day. Any decently nice day I would drive the car. So it got quite a bit of use, though not a lot of miles, because I live pretty close to my work. So with that bit of background, let's go into the pros. First off, the car continues to be incredibly fun to drive. And it's been a no-issue car for now over a year. It's great. I'm not sorry for a second that I bought this car. So in terms of other pros, it's hugely fun to drive. I really love driving this car. Even if I just drive it to work and back, it's a heck of a lot of fun. Sorry for the camera shake. I still love the way it sounds. I still think it sounds better than my 911. Now, you're probably not going to be able to pick up on that because I've got the top down. I do have a couple of other microphones going. I've got a lav mic, and then I've got a Zoom H2 in the floorboard. But I'm hoping you can pick up some of the non-wind sounds. So anyway, the car sounds great. As I've mentioned, it's been completely reliable. And it's been proven pretty practical for day-to-day use. I've basically driven it to work pretty much every day when the weather is decent. Unlike my 911, I will drive it out in the rain. I usually don't choose to, just because I just don't want to get it dirty. I keep it fairly clean, and so, you know, driving in the rain will get it dirty, and that's the only reason I avoid it. In the 911, I just didn't drive it in the rain because it would leak like a sieve if I had the top on. That was a Target. So that's kind of it for the positives. Now, I've got a long list of cons and annoyances, but none of these are significant. These are just things that I think you should know before buying a car like this. So let's get into that. First off, it's noisy with the top up. A lot of rattles and squeaks. It's pretty annoying. I don't look forward to driving it with the top up at all. The sun visors kind of have this stiction in the hinges. So depending on the weather, like whether it's cold or, you know, the humidity or whatever, they can be pretty rattly. If you're like me, that really kind of gets on your nerves after a while. Sometimes I flip them down just to get rid of that rattling sound. Probably won't come across in any of the audio I'm recording today. Probably a pretty major annoyance is whenever you go over a speed bump, a curb, you know, like to get into my driveway, I have to kind of go over a slanted curb. The suspension is really creaky, and it's just kind of annoying and a little embarrassing. The car kind of sounds like a jalopy when you go over any significant bump. So that's something I'm probably going to get addressed when I feel like spending the money for it. I don't think it will be inexpensive to fix by a long shot. Locking and unlocking the car is kind of frustrating. It it does so quietly, which is actually a good thing. But it doesn't feel all that reliable. I think I get it about 50% of the time when I'm locking the car. I probably get it about 50% of the time the first time. So I have to hit the key a couple other times, and then I start becoming unsure as to whether it's locked or not anymore, so I have to come and pull on my handle and test it. So that's a little bit of a pain. I don't know if it's maybe I have a weak battery in my key. That's a possibility, but I thought I'd mention it. The plastic window in the convertible top, that is really not any fun. Mine is already split on the sides, and so I have that kind of duct taped to keep any water from leaking in. But aside from that, you when you're lowering the top, the plastic window tends to want to get a kink in it, and you don't want it to have a kink in it when it gets folded up, because that can damage it. So you pretty much always have to hop out of the car and do what's known as the Boxster chop, to put the proper crease in the window, kind of pre-crease it, and then it'll fold down just fine. Once that's done, putting the top up, there's no big deal to that. Except, there's another negative about the plastic top. With a plastic top, with a plastic rear window, you can't raise or lower it if the temperature is very low. I think Porsche recommends that you do those operations only when the temperature is above, it's either 50 or 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And so that can be a bit limiting if you've put the top down when it's a little warmer, and then you forget to put it up before you put the car away, and you get up the next morning and it's cold. Well, you're going to drive the car with the top down while it's cold, because you shouldn't put the top up, or you might risk cracking the window. Same deal when you're putting it down. It's going to be brittle when it's cold, so you got to avoid doing that when the temperatures are low. The glass rear window obviously would get rid of that issue, but the glass rear window is smaller, and you have to do a top change to put that in. The car's already, when the top's up, the car's already pretty confined feeling, and definitely hard to see out the rear, so the glass is not all that attractive an option, although I have to admit I might go for it for the convenience. It's one of those deals you have to weigh the trade-offs. I will eventually get the top replaced, and then I'm really going to have to make the decision on which way to go. And I'll probably get the windshield done at the same time, just to have the whole top, the top side of the car redone. There's a great turn signal there. Another minor thing that folks out there watching the video should keep in mind is if you're very tall, you probably don't want this car. I don't think you can see where my legs are, but with my foot on the brake, my knee is hitting the side of the steering wheel. And so when I go around turns, if I'm using the brake, I have to kind of rotate my foot down and get my knee out of the way of my hands when I'm using the wheel. I have a 32-inch inseam, and I would say the car is right at the edge of usability for me. So if you have longer legs than a 32-inch inseam, you're going to want to think hard about it. You can't tilt the wheel. It doesn't extend and contract. So there's not a lot of adjustability here. You can put the seat back only so far before you hit the firewall of the engine. And when it touches the firewall, the carpet and the seat kind of rub together and squeak. So I've got the car adjusted to where with my weight on the seat, it's just hovering over the carpet, so I don't get the squeak. So that's why when I have the brake on, my knee is where it is relative to the steering wheel. I'll bring up again, like I mentioned in the first video, there's no glove box in this car. This is solid. That's a bigger deal than you might think. If you like to keep your registration and insurance proof and so forth in the car, that's a problem. So I had to find an alternative place to keep that. I'm not going to say where it is. So the thing is, if you get pulled over, I just don't know how the cop's going to take it when I reach into my hiding place. for my proof of insurance and registration. So an ex-cop buddy of mine said, just be sure to tell them what you're doing when you get that out. Okay, so one more con. It's to kind of be expected in a car like this. Gas mileage has turned out not to be that great. I'm going to check it right now. I'm at 16.1 miles per gallon over a pretty long-term average. And admittedly, I drive the car pretty fast, so I shouldn't be all that surprised that my gas mileage is kind of crappy. It bears mentioning, though, just in case you have the idea you might get decent gas mileage. You won't. One service my car definitely needs right about now is it needs rear tires. These cars are known to eat rear tires like candy. So it's going to cost me a fair bit of it's going to cost me a fair amount of money, because the tires that are mounted on this car are on really wide wheels. I think they're 10.5 inches wide. They're more like 911 wheels. So I'm probably going to spend, what, $600-700 to replace those rear tires. And they're going to last me about 10,000 miles. So if you're not into buying tires very often, you want to keep that in mind. And if you want to get the most out of the car, probably want to put summer tires on it. I have Michelin Pilot Sports on right now. I find they're okay in the lower temperatures. I've read scary things about summer tires in cooler weather. I haven't really noticed it that much, but I kind of pull back a little bit when the weather's cold and I know the tires are not going to be as grippy. Anyway, so that'll, if you buy summer tires, that's going to possibly reduce the number of months you can drive the car. So keep that in mind as well. Well, with all that said, I don't have much more to add. I want to just open it up to questions. Feel free to put questions down in the comments section. Anything you want to know about the Boxster I own, just let me know. I'll answer your question if I can. If I can, maybe another commenter can answer it. And that's about it. So, as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.